Let me clear this out before we start on the next video. All right, so what we're going to do in this video is learn how to get the index number of an array, and then how we can use that. So I'm going to type hobbies. I'm going to store this in a variable. So I'm going to type index num, and it's going to be equal to our array, so hobbies. Actually, let me refresh entirely here. So we have the full hobbies list. What we're going to do is we're going to get the index number of this. So counting from 0, this will be 0, 1, 2. So this has an index number of 2 in the array, reading. So what we're going to do is we're going to create the variable index num. It's going to be equal to hobbies dot index of, and we're going to be looking for reading. So now if I type index num, it's going to return the number 2 because that is at the index number 2 inside of the array. So how we remove items from an array specifically, so if we wanted to remove item at index number 5, we could do that as well. For right now, we're going to remove index number 2. So we're going to remove reading from hobbies. And how we're going to do that is we are going to type hobbies dot splice. And now this method takes 2 parameters. The first one is the position that we start at. And so if we typed 2 here, it's going to start at reading. So this is going to be the first that it removes, and then we can remove however many numbers at that point. So if I wanted to remove just 1, we're just going to remove a reading from this list. The 2 variables that it takes in is 2 and 1. Now, let's pretend that I don't know that I'm removing index number 2. So I'm going to use our variable index num, and we're going to remove reading. Now, if I type hobbies, you'll see that that has been removed. Now, I'm going to remove gaming, programming, and music using the same method. So hobbies dot splice, and I'm going to splice from position 1, and I'm going to remove 3 items. So now if I type hobbies, we get blacksmithing and archery. This is now, these are now our hobbies. So that's how to get started with arrays. Now there's one other practical use for index of, and that's to evaluate whether or not a certain item is in the array. So let's go ahead and write an if statement, and I'm going to write this in here. And the if statement is going to be if hobbies dot index of reading is greater than -1, that means reading is in the array. So I'm going to console log I like reading. I'm going to remove that for each. And then we're going to test another value. If hobbies dot index of let's say sports is more than -1, that means sports is in the array, which is not. So what we're going to do is else console log not in array. I'm going to save this and I'm going to refresh it, and we'll see I like reading and then not in array, because this returns an index number that is 0 or greater. This can either be at index 0 or greater. If this is not found at all, the index of method is going to return the number -1. So we could alternatively do this to test if something is not in the array. Oops. We can say if it equals -1. I'm going to save it. I'm going to refresh, and it still says not in array. Now I used 3 equal signs here. This basically means not found. So we're checking if hobbies sports is not found. Now the reason we can do this with 2, but that would return true if this was returned, right? So we're not comparing types in that instance. We're comparing values, and certain values can be matched across types. For instance, true and true. Using the 2 equal signs. So using 3 equal signs means does the value match and is it the same type? And so it's always safest to do this if you are looking for something specific in an application. If you're making any type of comparison that, it needs to be one or the other and it needs to be the same type, then that's when you're going to use these. And alternatively, if it's not the same type, you're going to use exclamation mark equals equals. And that's how we're going to work with that. So I think we're all done the arrays. Next, I think I'd really like to move on to classes and building objects.